Remember these little metal whiskers on your car that tickled the curb to tell you, hey, watch out? Or these cars that were like rolling tree houses, mixing wood and wheels to give the feel of a cozy cabin. Today we take a look at 10 car innovations that didn't stand the test of time, Part 2. Back in the day, cars had a floor dimmer switch that drivers used to control their headlights. This switch was first introduced in 1927, after the two-filament headlight bulb made the depressible headlight obsolete. The switch was conveniently located on the floor, allowing drivers to easily switch between low and high beam without taking their hands off their steering wheel. The floorboard area was spacious enough to accommodate these larger, more durable switches. However, in the 1970s, American car designers began to follow European trends, moving the dimmer switch to the steering column. The final vehicles to feature a foot-operated dimmer switch were the 1991 Ford F-Series and E-Series vans. Vinyl rooftops on cars started in the 1920s to protect passengers from the elements. They were made to look like the tops of horse carriages, which used materials like leather and canvas. In the 1950s, car makers used vinyl roofs to make regular cars look more like convertibles. This style became really popular in the 1960s and the 1970s, especially in America. Vinyl roofs were made in different styles and colors. Some even had a bamboo look, like the 1953 Kaiser Dragon. Vinyl roofs are still used on hearses and limousines today because they cover the seams where the cars are stretched to make them longer. The 8-track tape, also known as Stereo 8, was a popular audio format from the mid-1960s to the early 1980s, especially in cars. It was developed in 1964 by a team led by Bill Lear of Learjet Corporation, along with other major companies like Ford and General Motors. This format was unique because it played in a continuous loop without needing to be ejected and flipped over, making it convenient for car use. The 8-track tape could play for about 80 minutes before starting over, and it didn't have a rewind option. It became widely popular in the United States and Canada, and by the late 1960s, it was the largest segment in the US consumer electronics market. Some bands still release music on 8-track tapes as a novelty for collectors, keeping a bit of this vintage technology alive. Automatic seatbelts were created to make cars safer because not many people used regular seatbelts. The first car with these automatic belts was the 1975 Volkswagen Golf. In 1977, the US government said that by 1983, all new cars should have airbags or automatic seatbelts. This rule made car companies start using automatic belts, but some people didn't like them because they were hard to use and didn't always work well with child safety seats. In 1981, the government changed its mind and didn't make automatic belts a must-have anymore. Interestingly, cars with automatic seatbelts had a much lower death rate in crashes than cars with regular seatbelts. Tailfins on cars were a popular design feature in the 1950s and 1960s, symbolizing speed and modernity. The trend started with the 1948 Cadillac, inspired by the twin rudders of a P-38 airplane. These fins grew larger over time, especially in models like the 1959 Cadillac Eldorado, which had fins resembling jet airplane stabilizers. Car designers believed these fins made cars look futuristic, echoing the excitement of the space race era. However, by the mid-1960s, the public's interest in tailfins faded, and car manufacturers began phasing them out. Some modern cars have subtly reintroduced tailfins in their design, keeping a hint of this classic style alive. During the 1950s and 60s, car makers like Chrysler experimented with push-button transmissions in cars. This wasn't the first time push-button gear selectors were tried. In 1914, the Vulcan electric shift was used but quickly failed. Chrysler's push-button system, used in all its automatic transmission cars, was mechanical, using a steel cable between the dash and the transmission. Other car makers like Packard and Edsel also tried push-button systems, with Packard's being electronically operated. By 1965, Chrysler dropped this feature, as it went from being innovative to odd, and it didn't attract many buyers towards the end. The concept has made a comeback in modern cars, where push buttons are more feasible due to fly-by-wire automatic transmissions. Whitewall tires are special tires with a stripe or an entire sidewall of white rubber. They were most popular from the early 1900s to the mid-1980s. The idea for Whitewall tires started in 1914 with a small tire company in Chicago, which made them for horse and chauffeur-driven carriages. Originally, all tires were white because of zinc oxide, a substance that made tires white and improved traction. But because white rubber didn't last long, manufacturers added carbon black to increase tire life, leading to the creation of black tires with white sidewalls. Ford introduced Whitewall tires as an option for their cars in 1934, costing $11.25, which is equivalent to about $246 today. Curb feelers, also known as curb finders, were devices installed on cars to help drivers know how close they were to the curb. They were usually springs or wires placed near the wheels of the vehicle. When the car got too close to the curb, these feelers would scrape against it, making a noise to alert the driver. This was really helpful to avoid damaging the car's wheels or hubcaps. Curb feelers were especially popular on cars with Whitewall tires, which could easily get marked or damaged. Besides cars, curb feelers are also used on buses to help drivers park close enough to the curb for passengers to get on and off easily. Ttops are a unique feature in some cars, where the roof has two removable panels, creating an open-air driving experience. This design was first patented in 1951 by Gordon Burig and used in a 1948 prototype by the American Sports Car Company. The 1968 Chevrolet Corvette was the first US-built production car to feature a T-top roof, which helped increase its popularity. T-tops were made from materials like safety glass or acrylic and could be body-colored or black. They were popular in many sports cars and in some other models from the late 1960s to the early 2000s. The T-top design was inspired by the convertible, but offered more rigidity and safety by retaining a central structural bar. Woodie cars, also known as woodie wagons, were a unique style of automobile with bodies partly made of wood. They started as utility vehicles in the early days of the car industry, where the passenger compartment was made of hardwood. This style was a modern take on the older horse-drawn wagons used for hunting. In the 1930s and 1940s, woodies became popular in the US and were made in various forms, including sedans and convertibles. However, by the 1950s, all steel bodies replaced wood construction for reasons like strength and safety. By 1953, car makers stopped using real wood and started using products like sheet vinyl to give a simulated wood grain, making the family station wagon an American icon. If you're a fan of car history and missed part 1 of this series, be sure to click on this video right here. Also, drop a comment down below to tell us what other car features you'd like to hear about.